On my 20th birthday, I seem to be endowed with a magical power. Those who treat me well seem to have better and better luck, and those who treat me badly always encounter misfortune. In this way, my best friend accidentally knocked out her front teeth, her boyfriend accidentally broke his leg, and my mortal enemy unexpectedly won the lottery. I had a strange dream. In the dream, a white-haired old man told me that because of my good deeds in 10 lifetimes, I will get a special physique after my 20th birthday. All those who like me and treat me well will become lucky, and those who have bad intentions towards me will encounter misfortune. After waking up, I lay in bed thinking, how nice it would be if all this was true. Just then, I witnessed my best friend and roommate, because of an accidental slip, falling straight forward. Her face hit the back of the chair and blood immediately flowed all over her face. My roommates and I were stunned. Oh my God. Nana, are you okay? I quickly got out of bed and helped my best friend, whose face was covered in blood. The other 2 roommates also gathered around immediately. Xiaoshan, Xiaoxi, please ask for leave for me. I want to take Nana to the school hospital. I hurriedly packed my things and rushed to the hospital with Dana, but I ran into my boyfriend and his roommate at the hospital gate. It was really unexpected. Yangzhe's roommate Zhang Wei was also surprised to see me. Song Yan, why are you here? I haven't had time to tell you yet that I helped Nana, and an ominous premonition came to my mind. What happened to Yangzhe? Oh, don't mention it. He jumped down and fell while playing basketball this morning. In the ward, Yangzhe, who was in a plaster cast, was lying on my left, and Nana, whose half face was swollen like a pig's head, was lying on my right. I couldn't help swallowing. This is bad. My dream has come true. What scared me even more was that I suddenly remembered something. That is, dreams are often the opposite. I was filled with panic when I thought that those who loved me might suffer misfortune because of this. After I finished taking care of Yangzhe and Nana's hospitalization, I remembered to call home. Hello, Mom, are you home? It's bad, Yan, something happened at home. My mother's crying came from the other end of the phone, and my heart sank to the bottom. Your dad, that damn guy, he is not a human. I have long suspected him and the vixen surnamed Lu across the street. Well, 2 people were poisoned by gas in broad daylight and were taken away by ambulance. How can I live in the future? My mother cried and scolded, and I was confused. Mom, please speak slowly. After some effort, I finally figured out what happened. It turned out that my father had an improper relationship with the female neighbor across the street. This neighbor was surnamed Lu, in her 40s, and lived alone with her children after divorce. This time, my father went to the other person's house while my mother was out to watch the store, and somehow he was poisoned by gas. Fortunately, a delivery boy passing by smelled the gas coming from the crack of the door and called the police in time, and the 2 were rescued when the ambulance carried them out. Both of them were naked and became famous in the community. I comforted my mother, and after hanging up the phone, my mind was blank for a moment. I was born in a family that extremely favors boys over girls. My mother has always been looked down upon by my father because she gave birth to me. Since I was born, my father has never brought a penny home, and he said with confidence that since I was a girl, I would not be a member of their old song family in the future, and he would not raise children for others. I can grow up to this age, all thanks to my mother, who runs a small supermarket and works hard day and night. If dreams are the opposite, then I have actually misunderstood my father for so many years. My father loves me, and even Aunt Lu, who lives next door, loves me very much. This is too outrageous. I sat in the accompanying chair, looked at Yangzhe, then at Nana, and fell into deep thought. After thinking for a while, I still had no clue. The air conditioning temperature in the ward was very low. Yangzhe and Nana were both anesthetized and were still sleeping at this moment. I walked over to help Yangzhe cover the quilt. When I put his hand into the quilt, I found that the bracelet he was wearing looked a little familiar. I walked over to Nana and took her hand to see. Couple bracelets, exactly the same style, but Yangzhe's is gold and Nana's is silver. I turned over the inside of the bracelet and saw a string of numbers engraved. 9.29. I walked over to Yangzhe and looked at the same number, and I was confused again. 9.29 is my birthday, which happened yesterday. Yangzhe engraved my birthday because he is my boyfriend. and Nana engraved my birthday because she likes me too much. I was holding Yang's hand and thinking, and the door of the ward was pushed open. Oh, morning, it was this guy Jiang Hao. When enemies meet, they are particularly jealous. Jiang Hao is my neighbor and has been in the same class with me since junior high school. That he likes to tell tales on me when he has nothing to do. Because of him, I was beaten by my mother a lot. That I thought that according to his grades, he would go to a better university. As a result, he performed poorly and I performed above my level, so we both went to the same university again. What a bad fate. By the way, this guy is also Yang's roommate. When Yang pursued me, he often said in front of me that Yang was not suitable for me. That I just want to be with Yang, which makes him angry. Song Yan, are you the legendary Jinx? Look at these two, one is your boyfriend and the other is your best friend. Could it be that you are the Jinx? I rushed forward angrily, threatening, don't talk nonsense. Be careful, I will beat you. The more angry I look on my face, the more guilty I feel inside. That I think, maybe, it's me who's unlucky. When they were playing around, their roommate Zhang Wei rushed in. Jiang Hao, you won the lottery. 5 million. Zhang Wei's family runs a lottery shop, so we would buy a lottery ticket from him whenever we wanted, choose the number and send it to him, and he would ask his dad to print it out with a machine in the shop and take a photo for us. Damn! My dad was so excited when he called me just now. Jiang Hao, you have to treat me, and you have to pay for my breakfast this semester. I stood aside, dumbfounded. I can't understand, I really can't understand. Am I a lucky fish or a jinx? Is it a lucky fish or a jinx randomly assigned? Jiang Hao showed his big white teeth, rubbed my head happily, and kneaded my hair into a mess. Tell me, Song Yan, if you want anything, I'll buy it for you. I opened his claws angrily. Isn't it just 5 million? Who cares? Swallowing my envious saliva, I drove away Jiang Hao and Zhang Wei and walked to Yang. That I took out his phone from his trouser pocket and secretly unlocked it with his fingerprint. That we have only been together for a few months, not a long time, so I have never looked at his phone. That it was the first time to do this kind of thing, nervous and excited, lucky or unlucky? I will know the answer soon. Looking at the chat records of Yangzhe and Nana, I felt blind. The exaggerated words and the deep scale caused a huge impact on my young mind. Yangzhe just refused to go to a hotel with him because I didn't want to go to a hotel with him. He said that I not only bound my feet, but also bound my cerebellum. The remnants of feudalism are not as good as the hair on Nana's feet. That I gritted my teeth and turned off the phone. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. That I really couldn't help it, and while he was still sleeping, I gave him 2 loud slaps. That if I don't fight now, when will I fight? Well, seeing that Yangzhe was about to be woken up by me, I quickly slipped away. That I wish this couple to love each other till old age, and lock me up. That I walked back to the classroom, and I couldn't tell whether I was happier or sadder. That I should be sad to be betrayed by my boyfriend and my best friend, but my dream came true and I became a koi, so I was very happy. What I find most difficult to understand is Jiang Hao. According to his luck of winning 5 million, how much does he love me? Song Yan, are you a pig? Is your head just to look taller? You can't even answer such a simple question. Did your parents pay you to go to college just to let you fall in love? I don't know who will be so unlucky in the future and marry a woman like you. Thinking of the past with Jiang Hao, I still don't believe that he will like me. When I returned to the classroom, Jiang Hao had already reserved a seat for me. Oh, you're done with love, and you know how to study. With your brain, you may not be able to catch up even if you study hard. And you dare to imitate others in dating. I wonder how many subjects you will fail. Jiang Hao turned on the mocking mode as usual. That I pushed the book away, held my face with my hands, and stared at him straight. To be honest, although Jiang Hao's mouth is very bad, his face is really good. Since junior high school, little girls have been writing love letters to him. Jiang Hao pretended to be calm and looked at the blackboard, but his face turned red inch by inch. Even the white ears were red. TSK, this is the legendary mouth is not good, right? What should I do? I found your secret. Before I could think of how to tease Jiang Hao next, a stern voice came. Song Yan, You answer this question. That I stood up dejectedly. Teacher, I don't know. Sit down and listen to the class carefully, looking at Jiang Hao, who was laughing secretly. I think he is the one with the coy physique. Jiang Hao, let me ask you, it was my birthday yesterday. After we had dinner, did Yangzhe return to the dormitory? Jiang Hao looked at me with an idiot look. No, he went for a walk by the lake with Dana from your dormitory. What? Then why didn't you tell me? How many times have I told you that Yangzhe is not suitable for you? Jiang Hao rolled his eyes and ignored me. So the two of them hooked up on my birthday. How can I celebrate my birthday happily in the future? I am so angry. On second thought, that's not right. I have the coy physique. They are doubly betrayed, and the bad luck will be doubled. Thinking of this, I am happy again. Hee hee. Jiang Hao looked at me with anger and laughter, and reached out to touch my forehead. Crazy for love. After class, I walked on campus with brisk steps, as if I was the heroine in a novel. The center of attention. Jiang Hao looked at my arrogant appearance and reminded me lightly, don't be too proud, be careful of falling. Before he finished speaking, I fell on my back, sitting on the ground. I was stunned. Could it be that Jiang Hao also learned some superpowers, such as predicting the future? Thinking of his usual sharp words, I couldn't help but feel a little worried, seeing that I was still not getting up. Jiang Hao sighed, leaned over and gently picked me up. My cheeks were instantly flushed. The classmates around me cast curious glances. So I had to bury my face in Jiang Hao's chest to avoid everyone's sight. Song Yan, you really should consider losing weight. I'm afraid even a pig is lighter than you. I looked up in astonishment and quickly covered his mouth with my hand. Fortunately, I didn't turn into a behemoth immediately. So, the fall just now was probably just because I didn't look at the road. Jiang Hao's cheeks also flushed. He has fair skin, and his blush is particularly noticeable, seeing that even the corners of his eyes were stained with a faint pink. The idiom, beauty is a feast for the eyes, suddenly appeared in my mind. Back to the dormitory, my roommate looked at me, hesitant to say, Yen, have you seen Nana's circle of friends? Why didn't you go to the hospital to accompany her? I took out my mobile phone and saw a photo of a ward on the screen, with a sad text, the loneliest moment in the world is lying alone in the hospital. The so-called friendship is just like this. That I shouldn't expect it seems that she has woken up. How did I become friends with Dana? I remember when I just started school, I was making my bed. And the girl opposite came over with a bag of fruit and asked me, hello, I have a little claustrophobia, can we change beds? I like the window seat, otherwise I will feel uncomfortable. I have always been a member of the Appearance Association. This little girl named Dana is petite and cute, especially her big eyes and long eyelashes fluttering like butterfly wings. She is really a beauty, like an exquisite doll. Who can bear to reject such a beautiful girl? So we became good friends who could talk about anything. Dana's moments were soon flooded with comments. Many of them asked why Song Yan didn't go to the hospital to accompany her. This seemed to make me the target of public criticism. Just then, Jiang Hao sent a WeChat message. I clicked it and saw a photo. In the photo, Yangzhe and Dana were holding hands and looking at each other affectionately. They stood under the street lights by the lake. Their faces were clearly visible, and I can only say that the person who took the photo was very skilled. I silently saved the photo and then posted it to Moments, with the text, the most unforgettable birthday gift, thank you. Then, Moments exploded. Dana didn't have a good relationship with the girls in the class, so there were a lot of sarcastic and angry comments at this moment. Be a best friend, the kind that steals your boyfriend. She's not here to break you up, she's here to join you, come on, hurt each other. Oh my god. Fortunately, you didn't go to the hospital to accompany her, otherwise, taking care of the mistress would be heartbreaking. She looked at my circle of friends and was stunned, and I ignored the turmoil in the class, packed my school bag, and went to work part-time, because my father never asked about family affairs and did not provide financial support to the family. My mother bears all the expenses of the family alone and has to support my studies, so I will work as much as possible to reduce my mother's burden without affecting my studies. Jiang Hao can win 5 million, so will my mother be more fortunate, with beautiful expectations. I boarded the school bus. My student Ma Chiao is a senior high school student. a typical rich second generation, arrogant and unruly, and has angered several tutors that I can stick to him because I can flatter him. When teaching him to study, I will deliberately make some obvious mistakes, and then he will mock me with disdain, and I will start to flatter him. The photo made him feel happy and smile. Song Yen. With your IQ, how did you get into Jiangda, this little brat? I took a deep breath and showed a standard 8-tooth smile. Of course I can't compare with you. I tried my best to get into college, but with your intelligence, brother Ma, I think as long as you listen carefully and do your homework casually, you can easily get into Jiangda. Yes, he calls me Teacher Song in front of others, and I call him brother Ma in private. His mother gave me 400 yuan per hour for tutoring. Money can always make people surrender easily. After the tutoring, he handed me a big box of expensive chocolates. Brother Ma, I can't accept this. That Ma Chiao's face immediately sank, and his eyebrows were full of coldness. If you don't want it, throw it away. Help me throw it into the trash can when you go out. This child is really a donkey. Thank you, brother Ma. Next time I will bring you milk tea. His expression immediately turned from cloudy to sunny. He raised his eyebrows and waved his hand. Okay, you can go. After the tutoring, I pushed the shared bicycle out and met the class beauty from the next class who was also working part-time in the community. When she saw me holding chocolate, she showed disdain on her face. Shameless, seducing students that I in the past, I might have stepped forward to argue. But now I am, yes, 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 after all, I am a koi, and there is a difference between immortals and mortals. The class beauty likes Jiang Hao and once handed him a love letter, but was ruthlessly rejected. She thinks it's all because of me, because Jiang Hao always looks for me. From childhood to adulthood, I have been looked down upon by many girls because of this. That I have to calculate this account carefully. The class beauty rode the small blue bike, but the bike didn't move. The bike was broken. This is a villa area, there are no buses. And it takes at least more than an hour to walk to the next bus stop. Seeing the class beauty stamping her feet in anger, I rode the bike and left happily. When I got back to school, I found Jiang Hao waiting for me downstairs in the dormitory. Song Yen, why is your phone turned off? Your mother called me and asked you to go home. That I quickly took out my phone and found that it was turned off because it was out of power. Let's go. I'll go back with you. Anyway, tomorrow is the weekend, and I'll go home to see my parents. Jiang Hao and I live in neighboring cities. And it only takes 2 hours to go home by bus. That I called my mother, but no one answered. Thinking of my koi physique, I felt a little relieved. There must be something wrong with my father, who gave this chocolate. Looking at Jiang Hao's sudden serious expression, I really want to tease him. It was given by a suitor. You really forgot the pain after the scar healed. With your vision, I don't know what kind of person your next boyfriend will be. Looking at Jiang Hao's disdainful look, I sneered in my heart. That I think you are right. Then which boy will I like in the future and ask you to help me with advice? Jiang Hao was speechless for a moment, and after a while he gritted his teeth and said, okay, TSK, the hardest part of my body is that mouth. The bus was so bumpy that it made me drowsy. I pretended to be sleepy and leaned my head gently on Jiang Hao's shoulder. That I could clearly feel that his body beside me became stiff in an instant, and then he adjusted his sitting position so that I could lean on him more comfortably. A warm current surged in my heart, and I began to recall the past with Jiang Hao. In junior high school, I secretly read novels, and he exposed me to the teacher. I skipped classes to watch a movie during the summer vacation, and he told my mother again. In high school, he received a love letter from a boy, and he informed his mother again. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got, but a trace of warmth came from my forehead, as soft as a feather falling. Jiang Hao kissed me secretly. Sure enough, it is difficult for men and women to maintain a pure friendship. It's all Jiang Hao's fault, making our relationship complicated. I snuggled up to Jiang Hao and fell asleep happily. When I got home, I found that the house was in a mess, and all the relatives gathered together. Dad sat on the sofa indifferently, while Mom cried beside him. Xiaowan is already pregnant. It must be a boy. I can't let our old Song family die. This marriage must be divorced. Looking at Dad's rogue look, I feel sorry for Mom. Mom, don't cry, divorce if you want. Mom raised her head with tears in her eyes. and cried even more sadly when she saw me. Yen Yen, what nonsense are you talking about? If you get divorced, you will become a child from a single-parent family. How will we live in the future? Although Mom is hard-working and capable, she is still a traditional rural woman in her heart. In their view, husbands who don't make money, beat their wives, and have affairs are nothing. There is only widowhood, not divorce. Hearing what I said, Dad raised his eyelids. Little ungrateful wolf, I have raised you for so many years in vain, because Dad was determined to divorce. Although Grandma scolded him, she supported him in her heart after all. She only has my father as her son. Because of giving birth to me, my mother has never been able to raise her head at home under the auspices of my grandfather. We signed a divorce agreement. The house belongs to my father, and the storefront of the small supermarket belongs to my mother. My mother and I will move to the small attic of the supermarket from next week. As for the savings, my father has been living a lazy life for these years, and the whole family relies on a small supermarket to support. With almost no savings. It was not until late at night that the relatives went home that I hugged my mother and felt very sad. My mother is only in her 40s, but she has begun to grow white hair. Mom, I will take a week off and go home to accompany you. My mother cried in swollen eyes, and touched my head. Yen Yen, I am sorry for you. You can't delay your studies. You must study hard. Don't be like your mother in the future. You must find a good job and marry a good man. Mom, in fact, divorce is also a good thing. You don't have to do so much work. And you don't have to give money to your father every month. You will live more easily. I believe that my mother will get better and better. I hope she can find someone who treats her well and feel the real family warmth, instead of endless sarcasm, insults, and neglect. As for my father, with my coy physique, does he still want to have a good life? Someone knocked on the door. I went to open the door, and it was Jiang Hao standing outside the door. Under the dim light, Jiang Hao stood there, like a tall pine tree. Seeing my slightly red eyes, Jiang Hao handed me a bank card. And I looked up in confusion. The password is your birthday. I know about your family. There are 500,000 here. You and your mother need to spend money on moving. That small supermarket is not suitable for living. I will accompany you to find a house tomorrow and rent one. I felt sour and bitter in my heart. The grievances I suffered because of my father over the years suddenly came to my mind. I threw myself into Jiang Hao's arms and began to cry. Jiang Hao's body stiffened, then hugged me, patted my back gently, and comforted me. His arms later became my warmest memory in this autumn. After crying for a while, I felt much better. I looked up and sobbed and said, Jiang Hao, thank you, but I can't accept this money. I can't pay it back. Who said you can't pay it back? 25 yuan a day, 9,125 yuan a year, and it will be paid off in 55 years. This is asking me to pay it back with my whole life. In the end, I still accepted the money, because the more I collected, the luckier Jiang Hao might be. It was already afternoon when I accompanied my mother out of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Unlike my mother's tearful eyes, my father's face was red, but he didn't feel happy for long. A man rushed up and punched and kicked him. While beating him, he shouted, I told you to seduce my wife, I'll beat you to death. The incident happened too suddenly, and we didn't have time to react. My mother and I didn't dare to pull it out, so I could only call the police first. When I arrived at the police station, I realized that my father was not wrongly beaten. Who would have thought that Lu Xiaowan had not divorced yet? Her husband works in another province and is often on business trips. When her husband comes home, she lives with her children in her hometown. When her husband goes on a business trip, she moves out and claims to be divorced, because her child is already in high school, living on campus, and comes home once every 2 weeks. No one has discovered her actions for so many years. Looking at my father who was beaten into a pig's head, I can only be glad that my mother has received a divorce certificate. There was a quarrel in the police station. My father wanted others to pay for medical expenses, while Lu Xiaojuan's husband said that my father got his wife pregnant and asked him to pay for mental damages. Finally, under the mediation of the police, the two parties signed a mediation agreement. Of course, the other party did not pay the money because he insisted that his wife had to have an abortion. which just covered it to my father has never been a person who is willing to suffer losses. And the two families will have to tear each other apart next. That I quickly moved out of the house with my mother, away from this place of right and wrong. That it was a week later when I returned to school. As soon as I returned to the dormitory, I met Dana. Her teeth had been fixed, but the wound on her lips had not healed yet and looked a little red and swollen. Seeing me, her big eyes were full of grievance. Song Yen, you misunderstood me. In fact, Yangsha had wanted to break up a long time ago. But I persuaded him to at least spend your birthday with you before breaking up. Do you mean I should thank you? I rolled my eyes and felt speechless. Is he Yangsha God? Can I get more fairy spirit by staying with him for one more day? Some girls in the class began to exclude Dana, but she didn't care at all, and turned to be as close as the class flower in the next class. As for Yangsha, every time he met me in class, he would look like he wanted to say something but stopped. Sometimes he would look back every step after leaving, looking for an opportunity to talk to me. I regretted not listening to Jiang Hao's words at the beginning, because the truth hurts. Recently, Yangsha and Dana have been possessed by bad luck. They forget to bring textbooks to class, fall down when walking on flat ground, get called out by the teacher for skipping class, and forget to bring tissues to the toilet. Because they are so miserable, they have aroused sympathy from everyone. Everyone thinks that although they have moral flaws, they are so miserable that they should not be blamed too much. So the popularity of the two in the class has actually improved. Even I am embarrassed to hate Dana. When she was curling her eyelashes just now, she clipped off the entire row of eyelashes. Looking at the row of eyelashes on her eyelash curler, my roommate and I took a breath. Yesterday, she accidentally shaved off half of her eyebrows when she was shaving her eyebrows, so she skipped class to get her eyebrows tattooed. As a result, she skipped a rare time and happened to be called out by the teacher. It's still the famous teacher Li Yanwang. Most teachers don't care if they skip classes occasionally, but Li Yanwang can't. She hates people skipping classes the most. If they are caught once, they will be deducted 30 points in the final exam. If Dana doesn't score above 90 in the final exam, she will definitely fail this course. This is a required course, and if you fail, you have to retake it. I began to appreciate the dominance of the koi physique. But Jiang Hao seemed to have been quiet recently. A new homestay has opened in Yangmingshan, with hot springs. My roommate asked me to treat him. You should bring your roommate along. Looking at the WeChat message from Jiang Hao, I touched the bank card in my bag, and my heart was warmed. As usual, I have to work part-time on weekends. When I went to the Ma family before, Ma Chia's parents were basically not at home, and they were busier than each other. Today was a surprise. The couple were both here, and they were so enthusiastic when they saw me. Oh, Teacher Song, thank you so much. As soon as we met, Ma Chia's mother stuffed a big red envelope in my hand. I was stunned. Teacher Song, you are really amazing. You are the best teacher I have ever hired. You are better than any other famous teacher. I just found out that Ma Chiao ranked 427th in the joint exam. They are one of the best schools in the city, with more than 800 students in a grade. He used to be in the bottom 10. Brother Ma, I only know that you are smart, but I didn't know you are so smart. No, you are not smart, you are a genius. In the room, I held Ma Chiao's hand and shook it up and down excitedly. Ma Chiao changed his usual arrogance, and a suspicious red cloud appeared on his handsome face. This kid, he still knows how to be modest. Stop touching me. He muttered a few words. After class, I asked for leave from him seriously. I will take a day off tomorrow. I can't come to teach you. My classmates and I are going to Yangmingshan Villa to play. Ma Chiao's face, which was just full of energy, immediately darkened. Male or female? Classmates, there are male and female. Why are you asking this? I want to go too. I looked at Ma Chiao with a stern face, a little speechless. We are going to stay overnight. If you don't let me go, I will hand in a blank paper for the next exam. Can your parents agree? Downstairs in the dormitory, Jiang Hao looked at Ma Chiao with a bag on his back, and his face was extremely ugly. Let me introduce to everyone. This is my student, he will go with us this time. Jiang Hao pulled me aside with a cold face. Why did you bring him here? he is under a lot of pressure from studying in his senior year, and he said he wanted to relax with us. Oh, please. Just take him with you, give me some face. Jiang Hao looked down at my hand holding the corner of his clothes, and his expression eased a lot. He is in his senior year, and he is probably only 2 years younger than us. Don't treat him as a child, keep your distance, and don't let men and women get close to each other, understand? Seeing me nod like a chicken pecking at rice, Jiang Hao's expression eased a little. I breathed a sigh of relief, and then met Ma Qiao's handsome face. What is this guy angry about? I am so tired. The two people in the car almost fought over who sat next to me. I couldn't stand it anymore, so I sat in the co-pilot. The world is finally quiet. The mountain road in autumn is the most beautiful of the 4 seasons, red, green, yellow, orange. We are like strolling in a palette that nature accidentally overturned. I looked at the scenery outside the window and felt that the air was filled with the smell of happiness, except that the car was a little noisy. Although Ma Qiao has made some progress in the exams recently, his foundation is still a poor student. From poetry and songs to astronomy and geography, he was crushed by Jiang Hao and rubbed on the floor, looking at Ma Qiao, who was so angry that his face was red and his neck was thick. I was worried that his blood vessels would burst. This is the dimensionality reduction attack from the god of learning. We silently mourned for Ma Qiao in our hearts. The reason why Jiang Hao was admitted to Jiangda was because this was the worst of all his exams. The mountain road is not far, and it only takes more than an hour to get there. The scenery of the homestay is very beautiful. After eating the special farm dishes, Ma Qiao was hurt by Jiang Hao's self-esteem and hid in the room to sulk. We went back to the room and changed into swimsuits, planning to take a hot spring bath. The hot springs here are very unique, like a maze, with small pools everywhere. Some pools are as big as swimming pools, while others are only 2 or 3 meters wide like small caves. I was going around and around, going further and further away, turning a corner. There was a slightly smaller hot spring with a huge osmanthus tree on top. Occasionally, a few osmanthus flowers fell, and the mist of the hot spring made it look like a fairyland. There was a fairy in the fairyland, with handsome features, fair skin, and a pair of deep eyes, with stars all over the sky. Who else could it be if not Jiang Hao? He knew how to find a place. He raised his eyebrows when he saw me. His face, which was always serious and solemn, was quite charming when he did this. This scene and this person were too ambiguous. So I planned to change places. I slipped and rushed towards Jiang Hao. When he caught me, I had accidentally kissed him. Our eyes met and our lips touched. I screamed and pushed Jiang Hao away in panic, and jumped up. During the push and pull, my swimsuit fell off. Jiang Hao stared at me in amazement, as if someone had pressed his acupoints. I picked up my swimsuit with a red face, turned my back to it, put it on, and fled in a hurry. Is this my koi physique? The good luck given to Jiang Hao is that he hugged me, kissed me, and saw me naked. I rolled around on the bed with the quilt covering my face. It was so embarrassing. Is this my koi physique or Jiang Hao's koi physique? Thinking of Jiang Hao's eyes wide open and distorted expression at the end, I didn't want to live anymore. On the way back the next day, Ma Qiao was unusually quiet, like a quail wilted by frost, looking very pitiful. I will definitely get into Jiang University and defeat that Jiang Hao. Otherwise I won't be named Ma. He made a military order to me. Seriously. It seems that I have to study hard. I didn't expect Jiang Hao to have this ability. I am a little happy. Rumors about me gradually began to spread in school, saying that I had an affair with a student I tutored while working part-time. That student was a second-generation rich man, and his family was super rich. For his money, I lost even the most basic teacher ethics. I don't need to guess who spread the rumor, and it was whoever was the most unlucky recently, the class beauty next door. He ping, what are you pretending to be, hooking up with students, TSK? In the corridor of the dormitory building, he ping glanced at me with disdain, pushed me away rudely, and walked away with a thermos. I looked at her with sympathy. Since I have the characteristics of a koi, I always have a compassionate attitude towards those who hate me, frame me, and spread rumors about me. Sometimes I feel like I am almost becoming a Buddha right now. Sure enough, in less than 3 seconds, her thermos exploded. hearing the screams from the front. I closed my eyes. The scene was too tragic and I couldn't bear to watch it. Time flies by, and the final exam is coming soon. That I think this trait is too unfair to me. My roommate Chen, she sighed while flipping through the book. It's so strange, my memory has become very good recently. I only read the key knowledge I just marked twice, and I can remember it. That I was so envious that my saliva almost flowed out. Has Jianghao upgraded to a photographic memory now? Their happiness has nothing to do with me. I have nothing. Painfully continue to do questions and memorize and forget. Forget and memorize again. The final results were announced, and with my unremitting efforts, I finally maintained the previous middle ranking. Jianghao almost got full marks in every subject, and my roommates also achieved unprecedented good results. That I felt a little sour, and Ma Chia's mother's happy laughter echoed in my ears. Teacher Xiao Song, oh, you are so amazing. Io ranked 301st this time. If he continues like this, he will be in the top 200 next semester. Oh my God, I can't even imagine it. Thank you so much, as long as you are happy. After the exam, I returned home and found that my mother's mental outlook had changed a lot. She looked better and younger, and the area of the small supermarket doubled. The lease of the shop next door expired, so I rented it and added fresh food and fruit areas. Now the business is so good that even two people can't handle it. And my mother smiled happily while moving the goods. She was full of energy. This was the happiness I had never seen before. Mom can also make money now. I saved the 500,000 yuan you gave me when you won the lottery last time as a dowry for you. That I took the fruit from my mother's hand and felt that divorce was really the right thing to do. How is my dad? Humph, he is still entangled with that woman surnamed Lu. I heard that he is getting together again. Her husband comes to the door every now and then. So he doesn't find a job. What kind of job is he looking for? He rented out his house and could collect 2,000 yuan in rent a month. Now he lives in his hometown and occasionally asks his grandparents for money. That I was busy in my mother's supermarket throughout the winter vacation. Jianghao often came to help, and every time he came, he would attract a group of little girls to whisper that I had an idea and let him be a cashier. The checkout line immediately formed a long queue. The little girl in yellow clothes came to check out for the 4th time, sometimes buying a lollipop, sometimes buying a bag of spicy strips. That I stood aside and looked at Jianghao wearing a supermarket vest. Sure enough, good-looking people look good in any clothes. The vests in our store are bright yellow, which is a disaster for ordinary people, but when worn by Jianghao, he looks like a model on the catwalk. When he was asked for WeChat for the 37th time, Jianghao got angry, took off his vest with a stern face, and left. That I hurriedly chased him. Hey, don't be angry. Jianghao turned around and glared at me. So many people added me on WeChat. Are you happy? Doesn't that mean you are popular? Are you not happy to be popular? Hearing this, Jianghao became even angrier. His eyes were red, and he stretched out his hand to pinch my shoulder. Song Yan, you don't understand anything. Of course I understand, but you have reported me so many times before, and I was beaten so much by my mother, and you mocked me every day. Of course I have to take this opportunity to make you more angry and get some interest. That I opened my eyes innocently. Jianghao, what are you talking about? What do you understand or not? Looking at Jianghao, who was hesitant to speak, I bet he couldn't say the 3 words, like me. After all, I am stupid, dull, lazy, greedy, fat and ugly in his mouth. The inexplicable self-esteem of the teenager sometimes surpasses everything. Sure enough, Jianghao lowered his head in frustration, let go of me and turned and strode away. Although I had expected it long ago, I still couldn't help being disappointed. It's so hard to admit that you like me. I want to see how long you can keep your mouth shut. It turns out that Jianghao is very stubborn. In the war years, he could be a spy, and he would not confess even if tortured, thanks to the coy physique. All kinds of accidents happen to me recently whenever I see Jianghao, and I fall into his arms. When we eat together, I will accidentally slip and sit on his legs when I pass by him. when I go to his house to deliver fruit, I will trip over the steps and accidentally fall into his arms when I go upstairs in front of him. When I go to his room to borrow books, I will accidentally trip over my left foot and knock him down, and the position of knocking him down is just mouth to mouth. After the third accidental kiss, Jiang Hao finally couldn't help it. Song Yan. Are you deliberately taking advantage of me? I immediately jumped up and scolded him for being a fool and self-indulgent. After scolding, I felt refreshed and relaxed. Jiang Hao looked stunned and disappointed, his beautiful phoenix eyes drooped, hiding all the disappointment under his long eyelashes. Song Yan, I thought, forget it, it's okay. I like Jiang Hao. I used to like him very much. That I have liked him since junior high school, but he is always so rude, doing things that care about me, but saying the most annoying things. At one time, I thought he had no feelings for me. And my heart went from full of expectations to despair and numbness. Later, I met Yanja and planned to find someone to fall in love with seriously, but the coy physique appeared. When I found out that Jiang Hao liked me, I was so excited and ecstatic that I couldn't suppress it even if I ran 10 laps on the playground. But if I confessed first, then according to Jiang Hao's poisonous tongue, I might not be able to raise my head for the rest of my life. This time, I want to win. The busy winter vacation passed quickly, and Ma Qiao's mother gave me a huge red envelope on the New Year's Day. Ma Qiao also sent me a red envelope and said that his goal is Jiangda University. After this summer vacation, he will be my junior. He has high ambitions. Although Ma Qiao is arrogant and cocky, he is actually a very good person. I hope his dream can come true. As for Jiang Hao, he wished me to be 1 year older. I end the new semester. The academic pressure is very heavy. We almost spent all our time on full professional courses. Dana and Yangzhe broke up because they both thought that the other was unlucky and said that they had been unlucky since they got together and often failed. In fact, it can't be said that it was unfair. Half of their misfortune was indeed caused by each other. In addition to attending classes, I helped Ma Qiao with his lessons. He is getting more and more serious now, making rapid progress. And he has a good chance of being admitted to Jiangda University. After returning from the makeup class that day, I found the figures of the two people in front of me when I returned to the dormitory. They looked very much like He Pingping and Jiang Hao. For some reason, I followed them. They followed all the way to the famous grove in the school, and finally stopped. Tell me, what's the matter? Jiang Hao looked impatient. Song Yan was with her student. I saw it with my own eyes that it was the rich second generation that she tutored every weekend. You mean Ma Qiao? Impossible. He Pingping was so angry that she jumped up and down. It's true, I don't understand why you like Song Yan. She is materialistic and money-worshipping, she is not good at studying, and her clothes are very rustic. Shut up. Don't talk about Song Yan, you don't deserve it. Looking at the angry Jiang Hao, I was a little dazed. Did he defend me like this in front of outsiders? And you can't even compare to a strand of Song Yan's hair. In my heart, she is the best girl. No one can compare to her, Jiang Hao said word by word, then turned around and strode away. I hid behind the tree. And my heart experienced a tsunami. I returned to the dormitory in a daze, and my mind was full of what Jiang Hao said. No one can compare to her, she is the best girl. I was so happy that it turned into a burst of sadness. What does Jiang Hao mean by this? If he likes me so much, why doesn't he say a good word to me normally? I have been misunderstood for so many years, and worried about gains and losses for so many years that I hate Jiang Hao the most. Time flies. And the bell of the college entrance examination is about to ring. I have been restless these days. Ma Qiao is the first student I have devoted my efforts to tutoring. From the second year to the third year of high school, I have paid too much for his growth. I sat in the classroom, absent-mindedly thinking, should he pass the exam smoothly? Or will something unexpected happen? Jiang Hao saw me in a daze and poked my arm with a pen. What are you thinking about, Ma Qiao? Jiang Hao's face immediately became gloomy, and he pursed his lips tightly. And there seemed to be a flame burning in his eyes. Song Yan, you are not really in love with him, are you? What nonsense are you talking about? He is my student, so I naturally care about his college entrance examination. I impatiently slapped him away. took out my mobile phone to search for this year's college entrance examination questions, and guessed the difficulty of the questions in my heart. The tense and short 3-day college entrance examination finally came to an end. That day, we just finished self-study, and Jiang Hao accompanied me back to the dormitory. But found a familiar figure standing downstairs in the dormitory. I asked it. Ma Qiao, why are you here? I ran towards him excitedly, and saw him striding towards me and hugging me tightly in his arms. Perhaps it was because he had been waiting for a long time in the cold wind. The boy's embrace was a little chilly, but not without warmth. I asked this to celebrate the end of high school life. I happily hugged him back, but was pulled away by a force in an instant. Jiang Hao held my arm tightly, and his eyes seemed to be spitting fire. Why are you still here so late? How do you feel? Are you completely liberated? Ma Qiao stared at me closely, showing a bright smile, and his little tiger teeth looked particularly cute. After the college entrance examination, the person I want to see most is you, so I came to find you. How did you do in the exam? We may meet often in the future. Senior. Ma Qiao raised his eyebrows and looked at Jiang Hao provocatively. Wow. Really? You did so well in the exam. Let's go. I'll treat you to a midnight snack. What do you want to eat? The teacher will treat you, just to remind you. The dormitory will be closed in an hour, and the discipline inspection department will check the dormitory tonight. Jiang Hao reminded coldly. So, I took Ma Qiao to the food court at the east gate of the school and ordered spicy hot pot. I will make it up to you on the weekend, and you can eat whatever you want. Ma Qiao looked at me with a gleam of expectation in his eyes, like a docile puppy. Jiang Hao stood beside us like a guard, constantly reminding us of the time. There are still 20 minutes before closing, and if we don't hurry up, we will miss the roll call. Ma Qiao, you go back first, and we will make an appointment next time. Until Jiang Hao and I walked into the campus, Ma Qiao was still standing there, smiling and waving goodbye to me. Jiang Hao held my wrist tightly, which made me feel painful. Jiang Hao, what are you doing? I angrily broke free from his hand. Then Jiang Hao took my hand directly. When our fingers were crossed and held, we were both stunned. He took my hand and walked forward quickly, and I followed him with my heart beating faster. Standing at the door of the dormitory, he still didn't let go of my hand. I tried to pull my hand back, but failed. Jiang Hao looked at me firmly. His eyes were fiery and persistent. You let go. I won't. That classmate, come in quickly. The door is about to be locked. The dormitory aunt shouted to me, taking advantage of the moment when Jiang Hao was distracted. I broke free from his hand and ran into the dormitory. After washing up and lying on the bed, my heart was still beating violently. Jiang Hao, is he going to confess to me? The next day, Jiang Hao acted as if nothing had happened, attending class, eating, and leaving class normally. It seemed that everything that happened last night was just my fantasy. If he didn't mention it, I naturally wouldn't say it, and I could only keep it in my heart. The people in the dormitory also noticed the difference between Jiang Hao and me. Xiaoxi often asked me curiously, Jiang Hao must like you, the way he looks at you can spark. Has he confessed to you? No. He is a mute. We just continued our daily life, day after day. The final exam was approaching, and everyone was reviewing quietly in the dormitory when the monitor suddenly called me. Oh no. Song Yan, the parents of the student you tutored came to the counselor's office to make trouble, saying that your love affair with the student affected his studies, and now his college entrance examination results are not ideal, and the parents came to the school to ask for an explanation. I accidentally pressed the speaker, and everyone in the dormitory looked up at me. Dana said excitedly, oh, what can we do? Let's go to the office and have a look. It's better to persuade the parents with more people. I was also a little nervous. Did Ma Qiao fail the exam? It shouldn't be. He has always been very good to him. Didn't my coy physique bless him? I hurried to the counselor's office, followed by a group of people, and Dana explained loudly, oh no, Song Yan is in love with the high school student she tutors, and the parents are making trouble in the school. With her enthusiastic explanation, more and more people came to watch the fun. As soon as I entered the office, a middle-aged woman with jewels and gems was talking to the counselor. Jiangda, a famous school, is this how you train students? The tutor seduced my son into dating And his grades are worse than before. Your school must give me an explanation for his college entrance examination. I looked at the chubby middle-aged lady in front of me in confusion. Who are you, Auntie? Are you the teacher? Good, you look so seductive. The auntie looked at me and was about to get angry, but I interrupted her. Auntie, what's your son's name? Zhang Cheng. Is he my son you tutored? I was just too busy at work to check. If I had known that his father would find such a charming female college student as his teacher, I would definitely not agree. But my student is not Zhang Cheng, but Ma Qiao. You, what? The auntie's voice stopped abruptly. Just then, there was a commotion outside the door. I turned around and saw Ma Qiao, holding a large bouquet of roses, smiling and walking in. His mother followed behind him with a bright smile. Oh, what a coincidence, Teacher Xiaosong, you are here too. Ma Qiao's mother rushed up to hold my hand enthusiastically, and the smile on her face could not be stopped. Teacher Xiaosong, you don't know yet, our Yao ranked 29th in the school this time. Their teacher said that with this score, he can choose any major in Jiangda and be admitted. My God, who would have thought that he had ranked last in the school before? Teacher Xiaosong, you are amazing. We will set up 108 tables for the banquet. You must come when the time comes. Yao said that he would choose Jiangda as his major, and he will be your junior in the future. Ha ha ha. Before I could react, she waved her hand. Shaoli, bring the things. A young man behind her stepped forward quickly and handed over a banner. Ma Qiao's mother opened it in a flash, and on the banner were written 5 big characters. A good teacher produces a good student. I was so embarrassed that I wanted to pick my toes on the spot. Everyone looked at the banner in silence, and Ma Qiao's mother kept stuffing it into my hand. Teacher Song, keep it. It was then that she noticed the noble lady next to her. Oh, isn't this Mrs. Zhang? By the way, your son Zhang Cheng is in the same class as our Qiao. Are you here to give a banner too? Mrs. Zhang, you seem to have made a mistake. The person who tutors your son is He Pingping from the next class. Not Song Yan from our class. It was then that our counselor finally got a chance to speak. A farce ended just like that. Ma Qiao stuffed the flowers into my hand, and followed his mother, looking back every few steps. When he met Jiang Hao, who hurried over at the door, he grinned happily. Senior, please take care of me in the future. I walked out of the office holding the flowers and bumped into Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao looked at the rose in my arms with a stinky face and disdain. Swagger. I rolled my eyes. What do you know? This is the first time I received flowers. And they were sent by my students. I will take them back to the dormitory and take good care of them. Did that boy get admitted to Jiangda? Yes. Isn't Ma Qiao very good? A good teacher produces a good student. Ha ha ha. I am also very good, right? Jiang Hao did not refute this word. He just looked at me silently, and then took the flowers in my hand from me. It's too heavy. I will help you. He sent me back to the dormitory in silence all the way. At the door of the dormitory building, Jiang Hao handed me the flowers. At 8 o'clock in the evening, I have something to say to you. Wait for me downstairs of your dormitory. I took back the flowers and returned to the dormitory restlessly. When I turned on my phone, the class group had been flooded with messages, and all the classmates were eating He Pingping's melon with relish. I heard that she was in love with Zhang Cheng, a student she tutored, which caused his grades to plummet. Now Zhang Cheng's mother is holding her accountable and insisting that the school punish her. In order to calm the storm, the school finally gave He Pingping a warning while I was chewing the melon. I thought about Jiang Hao's date in the evening and felt lucky for He Pingping. My mood was complicated and my expression was rich, as if I was performing Sichuan opera face-changing. Finally, when it was night, I dressed up carefully, dressed in a gorgeous dress, and came to the dormitory building with a nervous mood. Jiang Hao was already waiting for me there, holding a bigger bouquet of roses in his hand. When he saw me walking over, he stretched out his hand to hold mine. His palms were hot and sweaty. It turned out that he was also very nervous. And my originally flustered heart gradually calmed down. We walked hand in hand to the grove of the school, and he finally spoke. Song Yan, there are some things I don't need to say more. You should understand that's it. I looked up and looked at him with a sharp gaze. I don't understand what you are talking about. Watching him hesitating, was filled with disappointment. Jiang Hao, you are such a coward, that I broke free from Jiang Hao's hand and turned to leave. But was pulled back by a force. Jiang Hao threw away the flowers in his hand and hugged me tightly, that I just raised my head, and his kiss had already fallen, passionate and urgent, with all his desires and years of repression. After a long time, he leaned his forehead on my shoulder. Song Yan, I don't like you. I don't like you always smiling at others. I don't like you playing with boys in the class. I don't like seeing you often get hurt recklessly and make yourself embarrassed. I don't like you not studying hard and can't go to the same university with me. Song Yan, do you know? I really hate you, that I hate you occupying all my thoughts. I hate you controlling my joys and sorrows. I hate you being so beautiful, but not just belonging to me. Song Yan, I have fallen in love with you a long time ago. Feeling the wetness on my shoulders, my eyes couldn't help but turn red. He doesn't know that I have waited for this moment for too long. The happiest thing in the world is that the person you like also likes you. The whole book is over. Ma Chihang's extra chapter. My mother found me another tutor. Which is really annoying. Those so-called gold medal teachers looked at me with that kind of eyes as soon as they came, as if to say, you have nothing but money. As long as they can't answer a question, they sighed and didn't think about it. If I study so well, do I still need a tutor? It's obviously to make money, but they still pretended that they couldn't bear to see me go astray. I hate these hypocrites the most. I drive one away when one comes. Today's tutor surprised me a little. She is a beautiful girl. She looks at most 1 year older than me, and she still wants to teach me. Sure enough, her teaching method is full of loopholes. I saw that she was really embarrassed, so I pointed out a few of her mistakes. Humph, such a stupid person, still wants to be my teacher. Who can teach who? I wanted my mother to drive her away, but her sparkling eyes looked at me, full of admiration. Ma Gu, you are so smart. You are the smartest student I have ever taught. Well, although she is stupid, she is not annoying. Much better than those hypocritical gold medal teachers. I decided to keep her. I have been a little abnormal recently. I used to hate weekend tutoring the most. But now I look forward to weekends every day. So I can meet Song Yan, the family teacher with sparkling eyes. I have lived in wealth since I was a child, surrounded by all kinds of flatterers, all for the sake of profit. But Song Yan doesn't seem to be like that. When she praises me, she is completely sincere, and her eyes are full of sincerity. She has a pair of very beautiful eyes. Her eyeballs are black and bright, as if hiding stars. I have never seen such beautiful eyes. Whenever my test scores improve, she will bring me some snacks as a reward next time. They are all spicy strips, milk tea, and the like. I usually don't even look at them, but I still tasted what she gave me, and it tasted good. My grades improved more and more, and she looked at me with more and more surprise. My God, Brother Ma, you are such a genius. If you keep improving like this, you may be able to get into Jiangda. Jiangda. It seems that she is from Jiangda, and it should be nice to be her junior. I have decided, I will go to Jiangda. The college entrance examination is over. And I feel that Song Yan is my lucky star. Since she came to tutor me, my exam luck has been very good. I know all the questions in the exam, and I didn't take the questions that I didn't know. Jiangda, it's almost in my hands. Thinking that I can see her every day in the future, I am so happy that I want to shout. This emotion reached a climax in the evening, and I took a taxi to their school regardless of everything. I hugged her, and the moment I held her in my arms, I heard my heart beat like thunder. I am very sure that I really like her. It is the man named Jiang Hao who always appears next to her, who is very annoying. But I am not afraid. Jiang Hao is not as handsome as me, not as rich as me, and he is older than me. I saw on the internet that the most popular thing now is people like me, called younger brothers. Song Yan, wait for me. Soon you will know how happy it is to be my girlfriend.